What's up, DFS friends? This is your buddy Choppadong coming at you with a recap, rewind, and preview video to wrap up Week 10, introduce Week 11. So if you're into this format, the little 20-minute videos that we do to kind of run this stuff down, then welcome in. Click the thumbs up, click the like, click the subscribe button, and get the content delivered straight to you as it releases. You don't get dependent on me to release it to Twitter, which I sometimes forget to do. So anyway, I am your short-sighted, short memory term coach and contributor inside DFS Army. I eat a lot of chalk. That's the way I roll. So you can imagine how last week went for me. It really blew chunks. But hopefully it did that to all of you too, and we're reveling in this together. Now, there were a few people inside the DFS Army this week that did do well. Mr. Jeff here, a relatively new VIP. Best score of the day, but it was in cash. Jeff, we got to talk, buddy. This is what we do. We run ladders inside the Army, and we make sure that every cash lineup we have is exposed to a little bit of upside, whether it be a league, a tournament, or something, just in case. I learned this way back 3-4 years ago in week 2 or 3 of the NFL season back then. I was following the Football Geek in a blog, and as he was recommending players, I got down to my final pick. I said, who do I take, this guy or that guy? What the hell, this Antonio Brown guy sounds pretty good. Threw him in there, and I said, you know what? I know I want to play 50-50s and head-to-heads and stuff like that for safety, but you know what? What if this thing does work out? I went ahead and threw it in a $1 GPP, took the fucker down for about $200 or so. Back then, it was a pretty good prize. And voila, here we are playing on the same deposit 3 years later. So if you allocate your contests properly, if you allocate your bankroll and manage your bankroll properly, you can do that too. Never redeposit again. For those of you that look for coaching and look for advice to maybe shift off of, oh man, the more I learn, the more I realize I don't know, you need to look into dfsarmy.com. That's where you'll find me. You'll find me on Twitter at Choppadong. You'll find me inside dfsarmy.com as Choppadong, the coach, contributor, bankroll management, contest selection kind of guru. It's kind of my niche, kind of my thing. I work with people day in and day out on getting their minds right. Everybody in this industry talks to you about what players to play, what stats are important, you know, what kind of usage and what kind of air yards, what kind of strike to walk ratio, all this crap. I'm telling you, a lot of these guys overthink this industry like crazy. If you want to simplify your game and you want to get down to the fundamentals and really strip it down to the framework that's going to build a solid DFS hobby, then you need to come inside DFS Army. You need to look me up, and we need to talk. Jeff, if I had one tip to you, it would be take that sucker and always back it up with a tournament play of some kind, because again, you never know. Many of us have learned this the hard way. You're certainly not alone. Nobody inside the Army is alone. That's why we're all there together. That's why we learn together. We grow together. We offer feedback together. We pick each other up when we have shit weeks like that last week, and we look forward to this week. So why not move on down the list here? JJ Watt's up, had himself a good little week inside the NFL. And as we keep scrolling down, we find Rock State had himself an okay week. We find Trog here, $7 into 45. I mean, I've got 10 or 15 of these scrolling out on a GIF or GIF file on the internet right now. You can follow my Twitter feed, go back and find it. We've got guys turning $40 into $500. Even in weeks where the rest of us do bad. I saved myself on a primetime slate last night. Got back the majority of the money that I had lost over the weekend, so that was nice with a little mini ladder sweep. And it's funny. This is how odd the weekend was. Typically, I do much better on larger slates. I typically don't even play 2-game slates. Don't like them. They lead you to more tournaments. I get asked this question all the time. This is my tip to you today. The 2-game slate is typically a tournament-related slate. Why? Because everybody's on the same players. If everybody's on the same players, everybody's largely going to get the same score. Yeah, a few points here, a few points there. But when a couple of points makes such a big difference, then you might as well be playing tournaments. Because if you're going to climb the ladder, you might as well really climb it in chunks. And you do that by getting either one off-the-wall play or having that one player who had the monster game that nobody else had, or just being in those tournaments where 5 points makes a difference between being a top 1% lineup and being a top half of 1% lineup and actually starting to multiply your money. You can play them a little bit in cash. As you can see, I always back my lineups with a cash play because I'm going to hit the 50-50 line first. Then I'm going to work on the other stuff. But I'm almost always in some kind of a 100-man or something like that. So second place in a 100-man on a 2-game slate is pretty easy to do if you get just a smidge ahead of the crowd. If you get a lot ahead of the crowd, you can win yourself a GPP with the nuts lineup. You're going to split it with a lot of people sometimes. It's the way it goes. But the smaller the slate, the key takeaway, the smaller the slate, the more you lean towards GPPs because everybody's on the same players. And so you can get a little bit different or be on the right mix with everybody else, but have just a slight advantage over everybody by your combination of players. The larger the slate, the more we tend to lean towards cash. And the reason why is because with all of those players out there to choose from, 12 games worth of players to choose from, now what you've got is a whole bunch of mistakes that are going to be made. And when there's a whole bunch of mistakes that are going to be made, you choose from the safest of the best players and throw it in cash and back your plays up that way. Again, if you need more advice on this or you need to learn this kind of stuff, you jump in DFS Army. That's what we talk about day in and day out. Any one of the coaches can help you with that type of stuff. I tend to focus more on where your bankroll is and where your contest selection is, and we talk about that kind of stuff. Tips and player picks and all that's done in any of these rooms over here in the corner. As we can see here, another $900 win for Sempernaut. If I can get that little hover over to go away, at least you can see where it is. JJ Watt's up again with some of his plays. Clown Kicker got in there with a nice $60 cash. This is a big crush. If you want to take the time to blow that up and look at that, UW really knocked him out. As far as Benson, this is my comment to my boy Benson here is very, very simple. The Wild suck. So if he heard that, believe me, he'll get back to me and he'll let me know that my Blues suck because we're big hockey rivals. Anyway, ladder cashed everything. I put it in 327 points. Guys, this is what the Army is. We're a bunch of friends that get in here and we talk and we have inside jokes and we give each other crap in the various formats that we talk in. It's just what we do. If you like that type of locker room atmosphere, this is the place for you. After hours cash, 350. Okay, we're getting into NBA here. We've run off of a little bit of the NFL stuff. That's fine. We win on all the different sports. There's Jeff again. Hey, dude's hitting the ground running. Can't blame him. Let's take a look. That's next week. Let's take a look at last week and run through the main slate on FanDuel because I don't do DraftKings anymore. DraftKings sucks, guys. Sorry. Get away from it. Their pricing is terribly tight in the NFL. Their customer service completely sucks when they screw up and everybody gets their contest canceled and whatnot, and all they offer you is a 40% rake back bonus on a drip bonus with a 90-day window on it, and you need to deposit like 10 grand or play it within 90 days to even max that thing out. Screw you. You cheap-ass sons of bitches. It's no wonder FanDuel's kicking your ass. So I'm on FanDuel now. What can I say? DraftKings is almost dead to me at this point, and I hope they go somewhere, go bankrupt, go broke, and die because of the way they treat their customers. So screw them. As far as the rest of the slate was concerned, quarterback, Kirk Cousins, Jared Goff, Case Keenum, CJ Beathard. Look, when Beathard and Kaiser are in your top 5, it was a weird week. Cousins, we can see it happening. Did we see it happening against Minnesota? No. Goff, thought we'd get back to seeing him run with Gurley. Guess they didn't. They're going to wait another week to do that. Case Keenum has done it a couple of times before. He's up, he's down, he's up, he's down. Against Washington, I guess this is probably the only one we really saw happening. Matt Stafford finally came back in that game, got off to a real bad start. Went ahead and brought some cash value, so that was good. If it was your cash quarterback, he certainly didn't hurt you. And the rest of these, I mean, Eli Manning's climbing up the board. Look at all the other guys that are down the list. Matt Ryan was in a smash spot. Dak Prescott, how bad do you need Zeke? I've been telling people for weeks with this Zeke is on again, off again suspension. Dak is going to need Zeke. Everybody tells me, oh, no, he won't. Yes, he will, because for Dak to be an efficient quarterback, Dak is not the gunslinger that backs up and chucks it down the field. And for Dak to be efficient, he needs those short and intermediate routes open. And that's what Zeke does for that offense. Dak can run a little bit with his legs, but as we all know by now, rushing quarterbacks need a running back to take the pressure off of their own legs. They go hand in hand. Whether you give a good running mobile quarterback, a good running back, and good short and intermediate receivers, you've got yourself something with that quarterback if he's not a turnover machine. However, you take that major piece away, and now all of a sudden you're hitting your floor. 15 points for Dak. Didn't work out, did it? I tried to tell people. Didn't understand though. Matt Ryan, again, your offense sucks this year. It's probably not even your fault. That's the worst part about it. It's probably your OC. Drew Brees is not throwing the ball that much anymore. Mark Ingram is taking over and run first, run first. Go on down here. Tyrod had a horrible day. So, I mean, what are you going to do? You know, these are your quarterbacks you had to pick from. Matt Stafford got you there okay, but these other guys were in the tournament winning lineups. Running back, there's Mark Ingram. DeMarco Murray, if you saw him coming, man, you're crazy. And if you saw Austin Eckler, holy shit, go play the lottery. Because nobody saw, vultured off those Gordon. I still haven't looked to see if Gordon was injured or not. I don't know what the story was there. But if we're entering some kind of a committee, I'm going to be absolutely livid because I have LaShawn McCoy, Austin Eckler, and Kareem Hunt in my season-long fantasy leagues, and it's been smashing all year. And, of course, we're going to get down to the finals, and I've got the best team in my league on paper, and I'm not going to win the title because that's just what happens. How many teams win the season and don't win in the playoffs? I guess my team is not built for the playoffs. C'est la vie. Yet another year for the Chapadong team. Alvin Kamara, looks like both these guys had great days. Todd Gurley ended up salvaging some good value, which was great, but he didn't have the smash day we thought he was going to have. Le'Veon Bell disappointed for the salary, almost $10,000, and you only got 16 points. Le'Veon needs to get in the end zone, guys. If he doesn't get in the end zone, he isn't going to get you enough points. He's maybe not going to kill you, but man, that was a lot of money to spend for 16 points. Tevin Coleman, Duke Johnson, those Cleveland running backs. Ty Montgomery probably snuck up on a lot of people. A lot of these guys. Look at the names. The names we were on last week are not on this list. You know, they just aren't. So we go to receiver. Take a look there. Robert Woods, maybe some of you guys were on him. That's great. I thought Gurley was going to be doing the work, so I was off of Goff and Woods. If you had him, good for you. Probably had an easy time cashing, too. Thielen. He was kind of on the fence as one of my three receivers, and I didn't end up using him, and I regret it. But I did use Sterling Shepard quite a bit. I didn't use Chester Rogers. Nobody should have. AJ Green, I couldn't use him. He got himself some points. That's great. But again, I still cashed in a couple of lineups. It wasn't AJ Green that cost me. It was my running backs. It wasn't not using AJ Green. Would he have saved me? Maybe. Only if I played Mark Ingram instead, though. That was the only guy on my list that I was maybe going to play. Golden Tate, had some Golden Tate. DeAndre Hopkins, had some Juju. So, by and large, did all right. Robbie Anderson, had a lot of Robbie Anderson. By and large, did okay with the receivers. Just didn't do so well with the others. Austin Hooper, Garrett Seelick, Evan Ingram, Vernon Davis. If these are your 4 of your 5 guys on your list, you did better than me, but I don't think they were on many people's lists. I mean, I can see the play for Austin Hooper. I just like Kyle Rudolph more. Thought he was a safer play. Vernon Davis, Jason Witten are both old men. Safarian Jenkins came back a little bit. Delaney Walker had a decent day. I was off of him because they're not using him much in the red zone. But, I guess he had himself a lot of catches, a lot of targets, which is what he should have had, no doubt. Then you run down here with the rest of them, it's not much. It is what it is. As far as the defense is concerned, Falcons and Buccaneers, once again, this is the kind of week it was. This happens a few times every year where the chalk completely implodes and a bunch of these other guys come to the top and have big games. That's not necessarily anything you did wrong with your process or anything that you aren't thinking that you're doing right. If you're part of a community like DFS Army, we talk you off that ledge and make you realize that that's just par for the course, man. It's a volatile game. I tell people all the time, it's not a round ball. Football does not bounce true. Whoever thought to make the ball with 2 points on the ends of it, man, that thing bounces sideways, forwards, backwards, crazy. Well, your DFS games do the same thing from week to week. Sometimes they bounce sideways, sometimes they bounce backwards. What are you going to do? You just keep playing and you keep putting the best places in. And this is another thing we talk about, that we've been talking about a lot this year, is the long run. How long the long run really is. When you're in a game that has a small edge, variance is going to be huge. It's going to be up and down and up and down and up and down. 16 weeks is not enough to tell you what you are as a player. It just isn't. Anybody that tells you it is doesn't know what the hell they're talking about. You need a longer stretch of time for that variance to smooth itself out and then eventually settle into whether or not you have an advantage, a disadvantage, a slight advantage, slight disadvantage, whatever. The only way you find that is to keep on a system and keep playing. And if you followed my video last week, we talked about when to adjust and when to evaluate. Don't snap judgment and all of a sudden next week change everything you did because you didn't pick up on the guys that's overreacting, and that's going to lead to redeposits. What you want to do is you want to stay the course for a couple of weeks. Give your system a chance to come forward. If you don't have a system, you need us. If you have a system that you're tweaking every single week, you need us. Now, if you're the kind of guy that's steady Eddie, an experienced player, and understands this stuff, then okay, we can talk out on Twitter, and just go back and forth and be friends that way. But the point is, we need to dive in. We need to put week 10 to bed, and we need to open up week 11. And to do that, we're going to talk a little bit about who's on bye and what teams we're going to target. Obviously, it didn't work quite so well last week, but what we're going to do this week is we're going to look at the Thursday night game. I'm just not a big fan of week in and week out. I mean, you can do the Le'Veon Bell, Ben Roethlisberger, Antonio Brown thing if you want. You can chase DeMarco Murray's points. You can do Mariota, whatever. I just don't see it being such a great game that I absolutely have to have a few pieces of it, or I'm at risk of missing out on the entire week. I'll play the slate. I'll largely fade the game. It doesn't burn you very often. It really doesn't. So most people that want to jump in there on Thursday night and be a fish and get all this action and stack up the Pittsburgh Steelers, great. I've got all these other games that I can recover with if Pittsburgh has a great game. And they could. And Ben could put up 20-some points, and Le'Veon and Antonio 20-something each, and really put me behind the 8 ball. But I've got all these other games and a few good spots down in here to recover any of that damage and get right up there with you. Because as many guys have that and just played those 3 players that all blew up, there's going to be guys that took sides of this game and lesser players over here, and it's just going to be just a nasty fest. I see about a third of the people in my leagues still playing fairly decent exposure to the Thursday night games, and it's largely a mistake. So that creates edge for me. Therefore, you'll find me trying to capitalize on those slates. If we look at the other games, Detroit and Chicago, Kansas City and New York, looks like it's going to be lopsided. I wrote that one up. Read the rest of the article, and you'll find what I had to say about that. I'm going to be targeting Kansas City in this game. Oopsie, private message. Gotta love it. Tampa Bay, Miami, no, yuck. Baltimore, Green Bay, ooh, even worse. Rams, Minnesota. Rams are on the road, buddy. We'll see how good the Rams are. Our next 4 weeks are really rough on the Rams. We'll see if they're legit or not now. Everybody's got their antenna pointed at the Rams. If they go 1-3 in the next 4 weeks, the Rams are not for real. If they go 2-2 or 3-1, maybe we talk. But Minnesota's a big test for them. I don't really like any of the offensive players in these games. I can't predict Goff's going to have a great day. I can't predict Gurley's going to have a great day. I can't predict Thielen's going to run wild against the Rams either. I don't know. This game has got a lot of questions. 2 good defenses. It's just not a game I'm going to be targeting. Houston and Arizona, I don't know. Not off the top of my head. This game's even worse. Cleveland and Jacksonville. However, it's a little bit lopsided toward Jacksonville. Now, Cleveland stops the run fairly well, and they've got a shutdown corner. So Jacksonville, it opens it up for a particular player, which you can read down in the article and find out who I like. Or you can talk to us inside the DFS Army to see if the rest of the industry likes the guy too as the week goes on. New Orleans, this game's interesting. 51-point total. Vegas gets caught up in the brand name chasing too. 51 points. They're kind of calling for this to be a big throw 'em out, shoot 'em out kind of game. I guess the spread indicates otherwise. But 30 points for the Saints and 21 or so on the road for Washington. We know Washington can do better than this. If the Saints D is not for real, which it seems they are, but early in the year they weren't, whichever one they revert back to, Kirk Cousins is a pretty good quarterback. If he can find the receivers that run the right routes, he can end up targeting some of this stuff and make this game competitive. And if they make it competitive, Kirk Cousins could have himself a good day. A little bit of a GPP play being on the road and being the underdog, but man, I can see it. As far as Drew Brees is concerned, I'm not using the guy even at home anymore because they've turned into kind of a run-first type of offense. And they're doing well with it. So if it ain't broke, don't fix it. I don't know that Drew Brees is going to gunsling it 40 times again in the near future as long as Mark Ingram's going nuts. So this, need more coffee. It seems to me that we're headed for a lower total here, maybe a higher total here. Maybe we get the shootout, just not the 50 points. Who knows? I mean, but I'll be targeting this game for sure. I'll be having pieces of it. Buffalo going out west to the Chargers. I'm concerned about the Melvin Gordon thing. I want to read some news and figure out what the hell's going on, why he all of a sudden didn't get all those carries out there in Jacksonville last week, because that's concerning. Denver, Cincinnati. Yuck. No love for that game. New England, Mexico City. A lot of people are going to be on this game. I'm going to warn you. The altitude at that stadium is higher than the altitude at Mile High if it's in the same place they played last year. So you're really going to have to watch some guys sucking for some wind here. New England's a rather old team. Body doesn't recover like it used to. We'll see what Oakland does. I don't see this game living up to expectations unless both defenses get so exhausted. We know both defenses can be bad. If both defenses get so exhausted, the offenses just have their way with everybody, that's a scenario where I can see this one really going over. So, I mean, I'll have some pieces of it, but I'm not going to load up on it like everybody else. This game here, Dallas and Philly, division battle, man. Carson Wentz and Dak Prescott are a couple of my favorite quarterbacks this week, only because it's at home for Dallas. And I mean, I know they don't have Zeke, and I know I just went on a tirade about how they need Zeke, and they do. But look at the options that I have to choose from at quarterback this week. I'm not touching this game up here. I mean, am I going to take Stafford at Chicago? No. Am I going to take Alex Smith? Maybe. Eli Manning? No. Cutler? Wentz? No. Baltimore Green? No. Minnesota Keenum and Goff? Maybe. But do you really want to target another good defense with your pick? Probably not. Arizona, no. Jackson at Bortles? At Cleveland? Kaiser? No. Breeze not throwing it as much. Cousins on the road in an underdog situation? Probably not. Phillip Rivers, Tyrod, no. Simeon or whoever, Osweiler, whatever. Cincinnati's a solid, no. Andy Dalton going up into Mile High facing Denver, no. Tom Brady, maybe in Mexico City where the oxygen might be a factor. I mean, I guess Tom Brady's in play. Derek Carr, a lot of people will have Derek Carr. He'll be in play. But I mean, if I'm on just this main slate on DraftKings, that's what I kind of have to do, but I'm not. So I can take Carson Wentz being favored and Dallas's defense not being so great. I can take probably the most solid quarterback on this slate, and DraftKings guys cannot. Just another reason why I can't stand DraftKings. They really screwed up by taking this game off the main slate. Therefore, they lost all of my business almost. That with a couple other factors. DraftKings, you suck. I'm just going to keep saying it until you change. You suck. You want my business. You want a lot of other people's business that are getting sick and tired of your crap. You have to treat your customers better. You're going to have to put those other games back on the main slates too. And you're going to have to loosen up on your NFL pricing a little bit because it's just not fun for a recreational player to have to choose between Adam Humphries and Sterling Shepard. They'd rather be choosing between Antonio Brown and Le'Veon Bell. They'd rather be choosing between the players they're going to root for on TV. Not these couple of punt crap things they don't give a crap about. They don't want to choose from that. Nobody does. If I have to take one, it's fine. I'll take my shot on one. But if I'm sitting there trying to figure out who's got the better value at $4,000, DraftKings, you screwed up. It's really pretty simple. The looser pricing over on FanDuel allows me to play with studs rather than play with punts. I'd rather line up guys that I'm going to be watching on games on Sunday and help me watch the games and entertain me that way rather than the obscure Chester Rogers types. Just not going to do it. Sorry. So, once again, you suck. We can move on. The Monday night game, Atlanta at Seattle, had no interest to me whatsoever. So, there's a quick review preview. You want to scroll down. I've got it all ready to go. I'm going to be dropping it as soon as this video uploads. You know, where I'm going, where I'm headed with a lot of my different picks. I can already tell you right here at the beginning of week 1 or week 11. Season's winding down, guys. We're getting to about the 2/3 to 3/4 mark. 2/3 mark. We're just past halfway. It's been a lot of fun. I hope you guys are getting a lot out of this content. I hope you contemplate becoming DFS Army members for at least the rest of the season, if not for our NFL, NBA content. Guys, NBA is second to none on our website. It is absolutely turning people into NBA fans that never were before. And you only find that out by coming into dfsarmy.com using coupon code CHOP, C-H-O-P. Get that 20% off grandfather discount over the life of your membership and give us a shot. Look forward to seeing you on the inside. Take care, guys. That's your Week 10 wrap and your Week 11 preview. Read the article. Watch for the content dropping the rest of the week from DFS Army. Follow us out on Twitter and become a member as quickly as you stop overthinking DFS. Take care, guys.